Hello and welcome to an emergency episode of Romantic Readers Podcast. We are bringing you an extra episode because huge things happened overnight. We got this excerpt of Onyx Storm and we're losing our minds and Instagram's losing our minds, and we were just like, we have to get on here and we have to talk about this. We have to talk about this. Yeah. We have to break it down for you guys. Ali, I'm like, this is going to be a messy episode because we're excited and we've got 1,000 things going through our brains. So we'll apologize in advance.
When we say emergency, we literally were like hours ago being like, hey, should we try and talk about this today? And we're like, yes, and like trying to coordinate. Like we are, Nicole's like blocked her calendar at work. Like we are bringing this to you hot off the presses. So many thoughts.
Absolutely. So many thoughts. Yes. Anyway, for anyone that didn't see it, so last night, Cosmopolitan released this. I think it was on Kindle Unlimited, and they gave us this excerpt of a piece of Onyx Storm. From what we can see, it looks like it's maybe earlier in Onyx Storm, as we can see that Sawyer is still in the infirmary. I guess, sorry, just quickly before we go any further, obviously there will be spoilers in this. If you have not read Fourth Wing or Iron Flame, go away and read those. But I'm assuming that everyone that is here knows that they have read that, and they have hopefully also read this excerpt now to get this information. But yes, so what we have seen is that Sawyer is still in the infirmary. We are with Violet and drama is unfolding. Ali, do you want to tell us a bit about what happened?
Yes. Okay, so I think we're just going to start by telling you what happens in case you either haven't read it or you just need someone to process that for you.
Reminder.
But basically, they're hanging out in the infirmary and they've been looking for the Venin. Like they've been looking for them outside of the wards, can't find them. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, they're here. And the reason we haven't been able to find them is because they've been inside Bezgaeth. So Redoc and Violet and
Ree,
I'm struggling to remember all the names because I'm just like so jumbled.
Yes.
But they go and they're like, okay, we got to go fight. They come across a Venin that's a scribe, and Violet, with her good little daggers, it seems to be a spelled dagger, so it's one of the like rune ones. So it can kill the Venin. So she kills the Venin. And then they rush down into the like dungeons or the holding cells and find the contingent of Venin. And it looks like they're there for Jack fucking Barlow.
Yes. Oh my God. And yes,
they're
and
trying to get Jack fucking Barlow.
Mm-hmm. And there is 4 Venin there. There are 4 from what it says. There are 2 that are I don't know, fighting or whatever. And then there is one that's got a ruby hilted blade, and she's got short blonde hair. And then there is the one that's hiding in the shadows with silver.
And there's one who has some kind of tattoo on her forehead, which I don't know if we've seen that before. Anyway, I'm not going to get into names. We're just telling you what happened. My brain is trying to
and a silver braid. Just we're just going to go into that in a moment. But yes, that was a huge moment.
So they're trying to get Jack, and they're fighting them. They've got, there were 2 guards on Jack. They're both basically dead. One of them has been pinned to a table and is being bled out, which makes me wonder if there's some kind of blood thing going on here. And then they're fighting, they're losing, and then all of a sudden the room darkens. And we have Xaden.
Yes.
And he kills them in an instant. And that's what happens. That's what we get in the excerpt.
Yeah. And then he says, why is it always you, Violet? Why is it always you?
Yeah, I know. I love the end of that line. Okay, before we get too much into theories and just trying to digest
what we've just
and break it out, I do want to talk a little bit about how this came out, because so it gets dropped at a random time. There is no lead up by Rebecca Yarros about it whatsoever. No, hey guys, get ready. Pretty much any time she's done something, she does hype for it. So even when she was on Good Morning America, she's like, you should probably watch this.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no hype. It's now been nearly 24 hours and she has not posted anything about it. on her Instagram. I just went and double
Does
checked
she
to make
even
sure
know
the
that
time
it's
was
out
taken.
there? Like, I'm assuming she knew that Cosmo was going to release this, but look, I heard about it through Fantasy Fangirls. Thank you so much. Their work is amazing. They shared the snippet, and then I was able to get the insert through what they had shared. And then that's where I know most people have got it from. But yeah, Rebecca has not shared anything about it, which is very unlike her, because anytime she's dropped anything from the cover to the blurb, she has been involved and she has given us little hints. So we don't even know at this stage if she even knows that this dropped. I mean, surely, but anyway, it's full of drama.
It's
Even just the
weird.
drop
It's
is
a
full of drama.
little
It was
weird.
like midnight America time. Like, it was really, really late at night, because for me it was just sort of around 5-6 p.m. But for you guys, it was a really late time.
Yeah, I think I'm on the West Coast, so I'm a little bit earlier. I think it was more like 9 or 10ish my time.
Yeah.
But that's still super late. So I'm like wondering if this is like there's like some miscommunication coordination gone wrong. Obviously, like they provided the snippet to Cosmo. It's not like Cosmo would let just like have it, but I am wondering if there was a little bit of like misstep with the publication, because I find it very strange that she has not come out
And said
even
anything
now and
about
said
it.
anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but we'll happily accept this mistake and take
Yeah,
every little
I'll
crumb
take
that we're given. And just in true Bookstagram style, you get something out there and everyone knows about it in about 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
it's out of the cat is out of the bag now, and they're just going to have to roll with it. And we are very happy, because this is a great little excerpt. Like, I feel like we got not too much, but enough to give us little exciting hints. I feel like there were so many little aspects that talk to Violet's second signet, talk to what the future might be, talk to just there's a lot. So we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. And
But we also make no promises that this is going to be an organized episode or we have organized thoughts whatsoever. So you just prepare yourselves for a
just
chaotic
be on this
jumble of
journey of
words.
chaos with us. By the end of it, we'll hopefully have more clarity, but we'll be like all over the place until we get there. So, all right. So what were some of your initial thoughts and reactions when you read this? What were some of, I guess, the standout moments for you, Ali?
Okay. First standout moment for me is like, why is Xaden impenetrable? Why can Violet not
Yes.
communicate with him? And her being like, as usual, like I can't get into his walls. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That's because that means that he's clearly nearby, like close enough that they could talk, but he doesn't want to hear from her.
Yeah.
I find that interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was
That
really
was my first
interesting too.
one.
I think, okay, one, we can also maybe rule out any chance that Violet's second signet is something around that she could penetrate through that. Obviously, she still can't penetrate through Xaden, so we know that's kind of not, like, we can cross that off our little second signet list. The other thing was, yeah, I was like, that is super sus. Like, he's been out in the snow, he's been outside, fully impenetrable. So he's keeping secrets. Something that Violet does not like Xaden doing. He is keeping
No,
secrets. And she's
no.
not concerned about it, but why does he not want her in his mind, or anyone in his mind? Like, is he communicating with these Venin? Are they, like, my thought would be like they're possibly talking to him and he doesn't like it, but he can't control it. And so, because he might have some kind of, the way he talks to Violet, maybe he's got a connection to them now. Like, I'm just thinking about Jack saying, welcome to the family, like that kind of thing. So, and he's like, I don't want Violet hearing this because shit's going down. I don't know. That was my thoughts.
But the other thing that I immediately sort of thought was like, okay, I had been having these theories prior that, Xaden's going to leave. Violet's going to maybe go after him. They're not going to be in Bezgaiath. That seems, I think, at this point to not be true, at least for some portion of the book, because we've now gotten multiple excerpts where they're kind of together in the Bezgaiath setting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the idea that at the beginning of book 3 of Onyx Storm, he's just going to have like pieced out because he's now Venin. That seems to not be the case. So
No.
that's exciting. That's good.
Yeah.
It
Well,
means I was wrong, but that's okay. I'd
yeah,
rather be
well,
wrong and get to have Xaden.
yeah. Well, I think what we see so far is that the Venin, it seems like the Venin have been draining people in Basgiath. We get the indication that they've obviously been finding bodies of people drained and going, where is this coming from? And thinking that they're infiltrating from the outside. So they've been doing patrols and things like that. This is the moment when they realize, holy shit, they're actually inside the walls. They're inside the walls.
They've been here,
And
yeah.
they are realizing that they're covering up as scribes. So the scribes have been infiltrated and they are now, and obviously this is the first moment of realizing this. So we're definitely in Basgiath. This gives me real Harry Potter vibes, like the third, fourth. I don't know why it's doing that, but I feel like we're at this place now where it's getting darker and it's getting grittier and shit's getting real.
Yeah.
Shit's getting real at this point.
They've been hiding as scribes and like who knows how long.
Mm.
And, you know, it's interesting. I love that they're hiding as scribes because, you know, throughout book 1 and 2, you know, Rebecca Yarros is really playing with this idea of you can't trust the scribes, right?
Yes.
You can't
Yes.
trust what they write and what they've said. And I love that the Venin then go in and decide to hide as scribes. I love that metaphor.
Yeah.
I just had a really random thought. Could this be the opening of Onyx Storm? Could this be like page 1 and 2?
It could
It
be.
absolutely could be, right? Because they're in the infirmary. It seems like Sawyer's still hurt.
Yes.
Like,
It would be
you know, and like,
yeah, I feel like it would be a
it's a
very
very intense,
jumpy
kind of weird way to start
introduction.
it, but
Yeah.
it could be the start of it.
It could be. I feel like it's a bit jumpy though for a beginning. It would definitely be throwing you right in the middle of the chaos if that was the beginning. My thought is though, based on the fact that they talk about we've been doing patrols and that, I would think that there's still a bit more story before this. I would think this is around maybe chapter 3 or 4. That's probably my guess, that like we kind of get a bit of an introduction. We start realizing that things are not as they seem. There's some drama. And then we kind of get to this sort of around sort of a few chapters in. But we'll just have to wait and see. Something I found really interesting, this is going to be jumping slightly, but there's obviously the discussion of the red eyes, particularly Xaden, and then his eyes are not red, with Violet going, oh, thank God, he's not like them. He's, you know, even though he's at the very first stages of being Venin, he's not pulled from the source in a long time, and that's really good. But what that brings me to wonder is about the scribes and how many of them are hiding the fact that they are maybe Venin and connected to Venin. Because if they Jack Barlow did the same thing. He had no red in his eyes, so you couldn't actually tell that he had been, turned Venin. So we have to wonder how many of the scribes are impacted, and can we tell from all of them? We get the indication there's a couple of scribes that then come in and they're all kind of terrified and they say, no, go away and lock the door and go back to the archives. So we get the indication that some scribes are innocent, theoretically, but we don't know how many have been impacted. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
They could absolutely be pretending. What I think I love about this snippet is it tells us that, we saw Xaden pull from the ground and he had red eyes, but then it goes away. And so it tells us that you can't actually always distinguish friend from foe, which sets up a very dramatic, kind of first act for us, and them wondering who's Venin, who isn't. The other thing that I found really interesting about that particular passage is Violet described him in very specific words. She says, even though he's an initiate, he's not as far gone as these people. Yes. And I thought the use of the word initiate was really interesting.
Yes.
That like they have a hierarchy similar to cadet or rider or something like that, right? Like, why would, and initiate is such an interesting word to use.
She's
because
done
it
her
implies
research.
that there's been,
yeah. Again, while I think this might be a little bit further into the book, this moment, because I think they've obviously been researching the Venin, they've obviously been researching the hierarchy, how it works. They've probably been questioning Jack Barlow to get the down low, which is probably why the Venin are coming to take him, because maybe he's giving away too much and they're like, we need to get him out of there because he's giving away all our secrets. I definitely suggest that Violet has a lot more knowledge on the Venin now than she did at the end of Iron Flame.
So it's it definitely makes sense that it would be a couple chapters in then. But it also just like, to me, an initiate implies that there's been some kind of like ceremony or initiation or like
Yeah.
formal acceptance into the club. But we don't like, did Xaden do that? You know, I don't know. It's such a interesting word
I
choice to
know.
me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
Or if
know that
it's
like
just
that's
that
fully
once you've
formed
taken
on
from
it.
the ground, it's like, "Well, you've been initiated. You've done step 1."
Yeah, yeah, like that just makes you an initiate. It's a strange word choice to
Well,
me.
a big
Um,
question I've seen asked is going back to the scribes is has Jacinia been affected? And someone on one of our Empyrean channels was talking about. I shared an interview a little while ago of Rebecca Yaros playing this game where she was kind of choosing kind of strongest character between two, like who would win a fight.
mhm.
And she was asked between Jacinia and Riddock, and she almost chose Jacinia, and then sort of last moment went Riddock. Like, so a lot of people have said, "Ooh, is there more to that?" Like, we always would have said Jacinia is like really quiet and meek and mild, and is there more to her? She's obviously done a lot of our introduction things, which you're saying,
Yeah.
like, can we trust that? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, that is interesting, and you know what else is interesting is I don't think she's in this scene.
No.
She's not around.
Ooh.
And you would think that if, like, they're all kinda hanging out in the infirmary together, she would be there. Like, she's part of the group now, you know, she has something going on, um, with Riddick. It's Riddick,
Mhm.
right? That she has something going on with? I can't
Goya. I
remember.
think she has a thing
Goya.
going on
Okay,
with
yeah, it's
Goya. Yeah.
Goya who's hurt. So, like, why would she not be at his bedside? And then, like, now the scribes are attacking and Jacinia is nowhere to be found. I find that really interesting.
Yes.
Um, so that could be, yeah. I've never really considered like, until now that Jacinia could be bad. I've, like, always, in my
No,
mind, had
she's
her
always
be
seemed like a good
good.
character. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't like
Yeah.
to think that. And look, hopefully what we're gonna find out is that sort of half the scribes, part of the scribes are bad, but not all the scribes. But of course, we know
No.
the
Yeah.
leader of the scribes, like, he seems pretty dodgy, evil. I don't know. We don't really trust him. We don't like him. So we just have to wonder how many of the scribes have been impacted. How many scribes are Venin? Is it all of them? Is it just some of them? We don't know a lot about this space yet, but we definitely know the scribes are dangerous at this point in time.
Mhm.
They're dangerous.
Mhm.
Definitely a risk.
And I'm so curious to know, like, what does it take to get to that point where, like, you have red veins? You know? Like, how
Yeah.
many steps away from initiation is Xaden to, the venom that we see here?
I
Like, that's
know.
really, I don't know, I'm just
Yeah, yeah, you
curious.
have to pull
I'm
from the
ready
ground,
to get
like, what is
mad.
it, 10 times or something? Is it the number of people you kill? Is there a certain
Yeah,
point of no return? Hopefully we get that information when we maybe find out Violet's research and find out more about what
yeah,
she's found
what
out.
she knows.
Do they
Mhm.
know how far Xaden would have to go to reach that point. And also,
Yeah,
have they found a treatment? Because the other option is that they've sort of found a way, okay, he's initiate, but maybe they've also found a way to subdue it, a way to kind of keep it at bay, even if it is simply that you cannot draw from the ground. You are not, you can't do anything in that realm. You have to keep it, not give into that temptation whatsoever. Is that the option, or have they found ways to kind of do some treatment? Because there was obviously a lot of research that we anticipate Violet's mum did around this in the past. We feel like there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
connection there. Okay, there was
Well, it's interesting. Sorry, I just like, let's kind of wrap up. Maybe we like talk about
yeah,
what we learned
definitely,
about
definitely.
Xaden, and then we can move on to other characters. So another thing that we learn about Xaden is that he is now an officer in the Navarre army.
Yeah.
Presumably. I find that really, really interesting
Mhm.
considering he led the rebellion, right? Um, where they all leave Basgiath. So it sounds like there's been some reconciliation of the rebellion that went off, and Basgiath, and now he's sort of an officer
Yeah.
and he's been stationed at Basgiath to protect it or something.
Thank God. Thank God we're not gonna deal with another, "Oh, Xaden's
They're
off
far away.
hiding really far away. They are all at Best Gaius. There's none of that drama of distance." Thank God, because I could not have dealt with another book like that. I
Okay.
think it obviously, yeah.
Except
Yes.
except don't you think if Xaden, in the Xaden that we have met thus far, if
Yes.
there's an attack from Venin, he is immediately in Violet's mind being like, where are you? Are you okay?
Yes.
He does not do that at all.
No, he's impenetrable. Like,
He's
why?
like, she can't get to him, but then he's not even reaching out to her. He's
Yeah.
not saying like, Violet, are you okay? What's going on? He clearly knows that there's been an attack. He's been summoned to come help it. And then his last line at the end is like, why is it always you? But like the Xaden that we know would have wanted to know right away where Violet was, if she was
Yeah,
safe,
yeah. He
was
would
she
have
part
opened
of
that
it,
portal. Would have opened that
that
portal and
portal,
say,
and
so
be like, "Vi, where are you?"
yeah.
So, are they, like, not together? Is, like, the power, like, taking him, like, maybe he doesn't have feelings for her, or he's, like, shut her out? I
No,
don't know.
I refuse
I
to
found
accept
that
any of
so
those
weird.
options, Allie. No. That is not that is not what's going on. That is not what's going on. I refuse to accept any of what you just said. Delete it from my brain. No. I believe that it's more like he's keeping secrets, and it's like that what he is hiding is like too dangerous to the point that he's like, I can't open up and find out where she. Obviously, he senses where she is and things like that because he obviously goes to get to her. Like he has
Mhm.
obviously been okay. I see your eyebrows. You're just like, yeah, whatever. I think in my Delulu brain that he has just been out playing the dragon. It's all been fine. And then he's just been like, oh, I can't reveal my secret. So I'm just coming now to
So I'm not even gonna check on if she's okay? No, that is not Xaden.
he does get there. He just physically does it. Like physically. Like not
Right.
not mind to
No.
mind. Okay, I'm not
I like not that I want this, but I'm telling you, like, all of the songs that she has posted have been these, like, heartbreak songs, like, I think that Violet and Xaden are in for some tough stuff, okay? That's all I'm saying,
all right,
and I think it's a little weird that he's not immediately being like, "Are you okay? Where are you? Are you part of this? Stay out of the
why is it
fight."
always
Like,
you?
right, why does he not say that in her mind? It's just really interesting to
Yeah,
me.
and then what does she say? Because she's like, "Oh, he's impenetrable as usual."
Right, like, so this is not a normal
No,
thing, like, this
can't.
is normal, this has been
I'm
happening
not
a lot
processing
with
this.
them.
No, okay, all right. Well, to save my sanity, we're just gonna park that for a bit and process these
Okay.
emotions. Okay, there's a few things pointing to that, but hopefully it's just coincidence and it's got to do with a bigger part of the story that we don't understand yet because it's just one small little excerpt of the book, and I'm sure we'll understand it all more later. Okay, I want to talk about. So I'm going to sidetrack slightly to Taryn, however you say it. Okay, he says a line to Violet, and I think it's really interesting because he says, pay attention to the present, not the past. When she's like going up the stairs, and I'm just like, oh, I'm like, is this a bit of foreshadowing for distance wielding? Is this a bit about past, present, future? Like, because I really feel like that could be part of her second signet. Did you notice this line? Did you feel it had any impact? Did you have any thoughts on it?
So, I feel like that line meant a lot more to you than it did to me, because I am not, that I don't really think that that's not the theory that I have about her signet. So,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, I just, like, read it and I was like, "Oh, he's just telling her to, like,
Be present in the moment.
be present in the moment." Yeah, because she was thinking about, like, how everything in Big Skies had been built or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think so, like, as I was reading it, it didn't stand out to me, but I do think that is an interesting way to say, "Be present in the moment," right? Like, focus on the present, not the past. That's a very interesting way to say that.
Yeah.
So, I think you could be onto something
Yeah.
for sure.
Well,
Like,
my theory
not
that
crazy.
Violet needs information and she needs information possibly from the past. I don't know. It's just a very interesting line, and it could certainly align to distance wielding, travel, like time travel, that sort of thing, which would then lead us into. And are we ready to talk about the Venin that Violet encounters when they go to Jack's dungeon? So, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
Okay.
talk about the Venom. So it's a little unclear to me
Yes.
how many there are. You said there were 4. I was like, I
Well,
don't know that I clocked
I
that
thought it
there
said
were
4, but
4
then
or
I thought
not.
it said 2, but then they were talking about I don't know. Anyway, 2, 4, there's a couple. There's one that's
There's
got
several.
blonde short hair and
I
has
know
a
that.
ruby in the hilt of the sword, basically.
The blade.
And
Yeah.
that one is like slicing the throat of the soldier that's like,
The guard.
yeah,
Yeah.
the guard at Jack's dungeon. So there's that one. And then there's one that's in the shadows that has a silver braid
Mhm.
and sees Violet. Their eyes go wide and then they just disappear.
Disappear. And they also have a tattoo on their forehead.
Yes.
The tattoo on the forehead is so interesting to me because that could be a rune, which could mean that that could potentially be Xaden's mom. If, because you have the theory that, like, Xaden's mom is some kind of, like, Venin princess or queen or royalty or
Mhm.
something, and, like, the tattoo and which could be a rune, which connects it to Xaden, like, I don't know. I was getting vibes of, like, oh, maybe that's a very important Venin because that
Yeah.
Venin also basically, like, winnows away, right? We don't see her again. She goes and she's gone and she doesn't get killed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, the ruby hilted sword suggests to me some kind of royalty or very, very high up Venom to have that level of and so obviously whatever they're doing is important enough that you have got the royal family of Venin that are coming to do this,
Or
right?
the
This is
leaders
the
or
top
something.
echelon of whatever infantry, whatever levels they are. This is the top. So like Jack's obviously whatever it is, it's very, very important. I got the impression, and I did also hear a theory on this, so it wasn't just me, was that what if that is Violet? What if ah!
Oh my god, I hadn't seen that, that just blew my mind.
What if that is Violet in the future? What if she's traveled back in time? What if her power is distance wielding and she has come back and that's her evil Venom now and she can travel just like that, just that easily. That
And
is what
that's how that person gets away, is it's Violet and she's just kind of like leaving time or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
That's interesting.
The
That's
other
very
thing is that she's somehow related to Violet in some way. That it's someone, because I would have thought obviously silver hair, same as Violet, it might be a family trait. I'm still trying to remember, and this might be a really silly question. Did Violet's mum also have the silver hair? I feel like it
no,
was a family
no.
trait. No.
No, it's not a family trait,
No. Okay,
It's
okay, good.
it's
I just
not a
wanted to
family
confirm. For some
trait,
reason I was
and
like,
there's, like, an explanation in, I think, book 1 that, like, her mom got really sick during during the pregnancy with Violet, and so people
yes,
think that's why. I think she was messing around with some Venom stuff while she was pregnant, and that's
messing around with a
suspicious as
Venom.
to yeah, so either
And
messing
the
around with the
lucky
Venom
time
or
making a little
messing
Violet.
around with the power of the Venom or something like that. But no, I am like 95% sure that it is not a family trait, that it is very
Yeah,
unique.
well, yeah, well, I really the other thing about this Venom, the description is a long silver braid. Now, if we
Yeah.
think about whenever they've talked about Violet, her biggest strength is her hair. She's always said, I love my hair. I love it being long. So it could definitely still point to it being Violet because it's a long silver braid. And probably Violet doesn't seem like she gets a good enough look at this Venom to kind of go, hey, we share a lot of similarities here. The other thing is obviously that when another Venom goes to this suggests that there were more than two. I feel like there might have been four because when the Venom goes to kill Violet, the other one says, no, we need the silver haired one. Don't
Yeah.
hurt the silver haired one.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
found that to be so interesting,
yes,
because, we know that the Venom are interested in her. She's having those dreams, whether they're Xaden's dreams or not or whatever. We know there's some kind of interest in her. And he says this after the silver braid Venom is gone, like, has
yes,
disappeared.
yes,
So, because like, the silver braid Venom disappears, like, pretty much immediately,
yes.
and I think that that's
Blink.
also, like, oh, could be Violet's like, "Oh, shoot, my past self is here, I gotta go." And Violet has this thought of, like, "Oh, they wanna use me to hurt Xaden," and then
Mhm.
she's like, "I won't be used to hurt him again,"
Yes.
which,
I'm like,
one,
"Eh,
Violet, come
wrong."
on,
I'm
you
like,
know
"She's a
that they want
she-cat."
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I was just kind of like wondering, what is the again? Is she just referring to when Xaden pulls from the ground to save her? Have they used her in other ways more recently in the book that we haven't seen
Mhm.
to get to Xaden? Like, I found that to be really interesting and a big question that I had.
Yeah, definitely. And I sort of came away from it thinking that Violet is actually more important to them than Xaden in some ways, that they have a very important role that Violet is going to play. She's assuming it's that they want to use her to coerce Xaden, but it could actually be more to it, that it's actually something about her personally that they're like, we need her. And yes, it could just be that she has these huge powers, the lightning, potentially her second signet that we don't officially know about yet, and they know that they want that on the Venin side. But it's very, very interesting. It's very, yeah, watch this space, I guess.
Yeah.
We can't find
Yeah,
out.
I know.
Do we have more information?
All I have are questions. I'm just like, I just have all these questions. Who is it? And what do they want with her?
Exactly, exactly. So did you have any other thoughts on the Venin and I guess before we go into other sections of the excerpt, like was there anything else you thought?
I'm also just very interested in why they care so much about Jack,
Yeah.
because clearly, as we've talked about, these appear to be some pretty high up Venin.
Yes.
Like, either what, regardless of whether they're like Violet or Xaden's mom or whatever, they're still pretty powerful Venin because they have like the red veins, which means that they're not just like early stage Venin. They're pretty late stage Venin. They have the ruby hilted sword. And they send a lot of people after them. I mean, there's a lot of people that go after Jack. So, the idea that, oh, maybe Jack was just some kid who got wrapped up in the Venin, they wouldn't go after him if that's the case. So it seems to suggest that there's a lot more like role for Jack that we don't know yet, because like,
Yeah.
why would they send so many people, so many high up people to save him and get him out?
Yeah. Okay, I'm just having a thought about Jack, and I don't know. I've always thought my theory had always been with Jack that Jack had pulled from the ground when he nearly died. That before that he was bad, but he wasn't Venom bad. He was just Jack fucking Barlow. And then when that happened, that was when he pulled from the ground to kind of survive. But now I'm actually just starting to wonder,
I think he did it sooner than that. I
yeah,
think the
I think
reason
he
he
might have
survived is
been
because he was already
potentially
Venom.
connected to the Venin from the moment that he arrived at Basquiat, possibly before
Yeah,
that, and he was covering
I
up the
think
whole
so.
time. Hence why he fucking survived that freaking mountain falling on him.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think he did it before he ever arrived at Basgiath. I do. And I think and clearly, like, we don't know a lot about his family or anything like that. So there's lots of theories that like they're actually brothers. I don't know if I
Oh my
like
gosh,
that
the
that
Rumble
Jack and
family.
Xaden are brothers. I don't know that I like that'd be fine. I don't like dislike it or anything. I just don't know that there's a ton of
Yeah.
evidence for that. But clearly he's important, and maybe from like an important Venom family, or like
Or that
maybe
he's
he has
giving away
powers.
information. My thought is that because he's being captured and, I mean, somewhat tortured,
But
but
don't
they're
you
getting
think?
information out of him.
But they're not there. They're trying to get him out, right? If
Yes.
they were just like, we got to get rid of this person who's giving information, just go in and kill him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
They're actually
he's
like
in a cell,
rescue
throw a
mission.
dagger at him, he's dead. They're trying to get him out, and I think that that is
So he's
that
important. He's important
seems
to the Venin movement. He has an important
whatever
role.
that
And the
is. Yeah.
royal Venins, the Venins that have the fancy ruby hilted swords and all that, they are coming to rescue him. So he is very important to at least one top Venin, if not a group of them. So whoever Jackie is, it's going to be very interesting. And then we have to wonder what that means for Xaden, and that these Venin, these high up Venin, also know a lot about Violet, and they want her too. They don't want her injured. They want her in general. So what do they have in store for
Not only
Xaden
do
and
they want her, but they said they need her.
Violet?
What do they need her for? Like,
Mm,
does she have some way to cure them, and may they wanna be cured? Does she have
doubt it.
do they just need her power to win? Do they need her because she's the future her is really important to their movement. Like,
That
I don't
was
know.
my theory when I
that was
felt like that was Violet and she's now like full-blown like lieutenant or whatever of the Venin army. They're like, she's a huge part of our cause, like Terminator style. They're like, we have to like protect the one from back in time because in the future she's going to be really important to us, so we've got to keep her safe right now. Not that also doesn't explain that if Jack was Venin already, he tried to kill Violet for ages when they first got there. So Violet didn't mean anything to them then if he was already at this level with the Venin. It's only been more recently since they've, I guess, confirmed that she is the lightning wielder. And like maybe there's a prophecy and she's ticking that prophecy and they know that for the Venin to rule all, they have to like have that lightning wielder and whatever on board. So oh my God, there's one line. This is a funny line, right? Something I thought that was just hilarious. I just loved the little add-in. It was Andana. And then there's like, they're running off to like fight the Venin. And then she's like, can you bring them out here so we can just like burn the bodies for fun? And I'm like, oh, Andana, you're so cute. You're so cute. Little dragon
so
just wants to burn the bad guys.
Yeah. I have to say, when Xaden like shows up and she's just like, and like Violet is like, he's like, oh, you can't kill me. And she's like, well, I don't have to. Like, and then like immediately like the room just like goes into shadows. It was so epic. It had similar vibes to me from in Akamath when like they're attacking Valaris and like Reese suddenly shows up and like the whole sky darkens. Like that is how it felt. It felt like this epic moment. And I was like, yeah, Xaden.
And I think we also have to note too, he like caresses her cheek and stuff like that. Like the
that is true. That is true. He does caress. He pulls her back from her hips. Not just, like
his shadow powers.
His shadows touch her hips and then caress her cheeks. So, okay, maybe they're okay. Maybe they're okay.
Well, or if they're not, he's bloody feeling like he's still got all the feels and he's like needing to get as close to her as possible with his shadow powers.
Can't get his shadows under control. They just want to touch.
It's going to be very interesting. Now I'm scared. Now you've made me really, really scared. I had not considered that option. And now I'm like, no, I'm going to have to reread the whole thing again with that lens to see if it clicks or not.
I find it so weird that he wasn't immediately in her head being like, are you okay? Because that is the Xaden that we know.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing we know about Xaden is if he is all worried that she is like, that his venomousness is going to be bad for her, he would keep himself away. He'd be all like, well, I'm going to stay away from you. Because this is the other thing, right? She sees his eyes at that moment and they're not red at all. But like if she's been seeing him every day, she would also know that, right? She would be like, oh, well, I see you every day and your eyes are never red. So it's like this is like the only time she's noticing, or maybe it's just the contrast because she's just seen Venin and then she looks at him and she's like, oh, he is different. Maybe it's just confirmation of that. But is she seeing?
Maybe they haven't. Yeah, maybe they haven't seen each other in a while, even though he's kind of. It seems like he's stationed at Basgiath, so it's interesting. It's very interesting.
It's scary, and I just want it to be okay. It's like, Rebecca, now I'm in pain, and can January please be tomorrow? That'd be great. Thank you so much.
I know.
Did you have any other thoughts, anything that we haven't yet discussed that you wanted to bring up?
We've talked about everything so far. I may have more thoughts, but like I read it at 1 a.m. last night and then I read it again this morning. And I think we've covered everything, but I'm sure more things will like percolate. But this is our emergency right away episode.
Yeah.
So
the only other things I thought about that were just interesting standout lines was just when Tarn was saying that that she didn't have a conduit. And saying you need a conduit to be able to use your powers, it kind of just made me go, oh, is that something to consider for the second signet, something that she needs? I don't think it really meant anything, but it was just a line. And also the line she says where then she says, that's okay, I'm better with my daggers than my power. And just that, I guess, reminder that, oh, that was the other thing, right? So back to the Venin and when they go into the dungeon for Jack Barlow, so they've like slit the throat of one of the guards and they're pinned down with daggers. daggers. So we'd
Oh,
just been hearing
true.
about Violet and her, like how good she is with daggers. And even Ree goes, wow, I forgot how good you are with a dagger. And then we flip to those Venin and they're like pinned down with like 4 daggers. And I'm just like, ooh, okay. Someone else is
No,
very good.
that makes a
Someone else
lot
is
of
very good
sense.
with
That
daggers.
could be a
They have
thing.
a long silver braid but they're Venin and they've got, so either it's like Violet's twin or something or other like family member that she didn't know existed, or we have concerning things in store for our girl Violet. We'll just have to wait and see. There's a lot of pain. That's all I'm predicting. There is a lot of pain that is going to be inflicted on us.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to, I think what you said about the daggers makes a lot of sense. And then going back to what you were saying before you got distracted by that thought, is it is interesting that she still hasn't mastered her power and her magic,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know? So we're seeing that like she still has a long way to go to become the like super powerful person that we know she's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
She still can't use her lightning inside without a little, I think it's the conduit is like that little orb or
Yeah.
just something that she can kind of put extra energy into or help her channel
Exactly.
it
Help
better.
her control it and direct
Mhm.
it in one
Yeah.
direction so that she doesn't go and like burn the whole place down.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, very interesting. All right, guys. Well, that is it for our emergency Onyx Storm episode. Give us your thoughts. Please share it in the comments what your thoughts are. Did you have any alternative theories to what we got, what we read about, what we heard about? What do you think of our theories? Happy to break it down. Please share. Please subscribe. We love to hear from you guys. And we will talk to you next time. But catch us wherever you normally do: Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. We love hearing from you guys, and we will chat to you next time. And cannot wait for January. So thanks, guys. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.